You've been here for 5 years. You built so much, but it's not forever.
It's not forever, and I've always known that. Just because it's not forever doesn't mean that I'm going to show up any different. It means that I'm going to form relationships, I'm going to host things, and I'm going to shake my booty, because that's who I am.
And being present in the moment is super important.
That is a journey. You're never going to know every stop, every twist and turn. I hope that when I die, that is what people remember the most, the way that I love them.
You're watching We Ain't Dying for This, a Black woman's guide to liberation, and I'm your host, Crystle Johnson. We are a community of Black women demanding our collective liberation through radically soft living. Each Thursday, we feature the stories of Black women who have set themselves free from the expectations of others and are choosing to live on their own terms.
Welcome to the show, Obi.
Thank you.
You are one of the people that I know that has been here the longest. So I think this is going to be an interesting conversation for people who are going to be listening in, who really will be able to see like what you've been able to build in terms of your life over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But you have attended one of our Kinory experiences.
Yes.
And so the first question I'm going to ask you is one you are very familiar with. Tell us who you are without telling us what you do.
Yes. And so I actually remember my answer from the dinner. And I think it really does truly embody the most honest answer to this question, which is that what I hope that I am and that I embody and that I exude and shine through in this life is a sense of love. Right. And that everything that I do comes from a point of love, my protection, the people that I fight for, the things that I build, the community that I have, the friends that I have, right? It's all to further this sense of this love, right? This commitment to love, whether that's loving my community, loving you enough to fight for you, loving you enough to protect you, loving you enough to welcome you to a new city with open arms and make sure that you feel comfortable, loving you enough to support you in your growing business and all of the things. Everything that I do, I try to do it from a place of love. And I hope that when I die, that is what people remember the most, the way that I love them.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful answer, because I think a lot of people don't even think about like, what are people going to say about me when I'm gone? But it's amazing that you're thinking about that now, that you want people to know who you are, not like what did I produce, what kind of value did I add, but like that you really know who I was. You knew my heart when I was here on this earth. And I think that's really beautiful.
Thank you. And I hope that it shows. And that's all I can do.
It does, girl.
It
does. And I think that your space that you've created, Black Mérida, is one of the first spaces that I came across when I started looking at Mérida as a place to land.
Love that.
Tell us more about how you got here and why. Why did you come?
So me coming to Merida was not at all on my radar. I did not move here to move here. I came, it was supposed to be sort of an adult study abroad. I was only supposed to be here for 6 months. And when I moved here, I visited once before, but prior to that visit, I had never heard of Merida at all. A friend that I had met traveling, we reconnected when I went to California. I drove the PCH, did that road trip, and I was solo traveling. And so we reconnected. She lives in California. And after reconnecting, she was like, I've been thinking about doing this thing. Is this something that you would be willing to do? And, it was during the pandemic, everybody was working remotely. It was only supposed to be 6 months. My job was like, sure, absolutely do it. And as an event planner, when do you really get to work remotely? Like this is, and so it felt like the only opportunity that I was going to have to really do this thing. I had always wanted to study abroad in college. And so this felt like the opportunity to do that, like adult study abroad experience. And so we came to visit, and then about a month later, we moved. And I've been here ever since. Merida has just kind of captured me ever since. But I don't have the typical, I researched for years and I sold all my stuff and, all of that pre-planning. I didn't do that because I was only supposed to be here for 6 months. I was like, I could do anything for 6 months. So, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Didn't know a lick of Spanish, all of that. But I was like, it'll be fine. It'll be an adventure. Why not?
Yeah. And I think that's different from what most people hear. Most people, if you go online and you're researching living abroad, people are like, don't go to a place that you haven't researched front and backwards and done all these different things. But it can be done.
Yeah.
It just depends on what type of person you are. Are you able to handle like being curious every day and like learning things on the fly and just moving forward? Then if you are that type of person, then it's easier to do. Like nothing's foolproof.
Right.
But
Right.
It's much easier to do.
Yeah. And I was single. I don't have any kids. And so there's a lot of considerations that that a lot of people here have that I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. But for me, because I didn't come into it with a permanent mindset, and I tell people even today, even all that I've built, and I've been here for 5 years, I still do not say that this is for forever. I do not have this sense of permanence at all.
Yeah.
For my relationship with Merida. It's very much so like I love it and it loves me, and when that sort of shifts and changes, I'm okay to go wherever the wind takes me at that point.
Yeah.
But because I didn't have that sense of permanence, it really just felt like an adventure, like struggling to speak to the Uber driver, struggling to order my food, learning that the word for straw on Duolingo is not how they say it here.
Wait a minute. What is the word for straw on Duolingo?
Oh, I can't remember it because
now we know it's popote.
Yeah, it's popote. But whatever it was, I remember very distinctly having learned it, and I was like, okay, I got my word. And then I went to, I think it was the name of the restaurant is escaping me now, but we went out for brunch, and I like ordered it with like such pride, asked for it with such pride. And he was like, what are you asking for?
Yeah.
And I was like, straw. I ended up having to say it in English, and he was like, oh, popote. And I was like, okay, I guess that's the word for it here.
Duolingo has done me wrong a couple of times. I think I shared with you that I went to Mexico City and like did immersive learning for a month this past May. And yeah, like chaqueta does not mean jacket.
Oh,
it don't mean jacket. Not in Latin America. Maybe in Spain it means jacket, but it don't mean that. Yeah, and it's a couple of other words. I'm like Duolingo.
Yeah.
Duo.
But to be fair to Duolingo, they tell you on there you are learning Spain Spanish. So Mexican Spanish, Argentinian Spanish, or not Argentinian, but like South American Spanish, like it's all very different. So you got to learn where you're at. You got to be, like you said, immersed. You got to have that, that specific dialect. And Yucatecan Spanish specifically is so unique. I went to Playa del Carmen and told him that I was living in Mérida. He was like, oh, that's why your accent when you speak Spanish is like that. And I was like what, sir? It's a Yucatecan accent because this is where I learned, So
it makes so much sense. Yeah. And I think the permanence part of your story, or not feeling permanent, is going to be something that continuously comes up in this episode. And I think it will resonate with people who are thinking, hey, I want to go try out a place. I'm not really sure like if I'm going to love it, but I'll be there for as long as I love it. I don't necessarily have to have a plan. Yeah. So I'm excited to get into it. But you said that you visited. What do you think called you here during that short visit?
I was so warmly welcomed. And, also Merida is a soft landing. It's not particularly foreign, right? Like We have Burger King, we have McDonald's, we've got Costco, we've got, a lot of things that feel very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also, the living arrangements feel very familiar when you go and you tour the houses and everything. Is what I should say. It can feel very familiar. You can also live in a very traditional Yucatecan house,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of options that sort of cater to us. So it didn't feel like I was making this huge, large jump. It just felt like, oh, I'm just going to my neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very welcoming and soft. And again, like I had a lot of Black women that welcomed me during that visit, right?
Yeah.
That took the time out to have dinner with me, to answer our questions and all of that. And so it just very much so felt like, well, if they can do it, that I can do it. And certainly I can do it for 6 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then you also said that you got here during the pandemic, which was
Hmm.
perfect for you as an event planner because there are no events happening in
Yeah,
person when COVID is happening. What
exactly.
was it like being here when the world was shut down?
For me, it was the respite that I needed.
Mm.
I was coming fresh off of a major home renovation, like a gut renovation that was driving me insane. And then just like I was working in social and still am working in social justice at the same time. So
Mm.
all of the Black Lives Matter stuff and all of the US just felt like I had so much on my shoulders. And so coming here and a place that naturally moves slower than the US, right? And then it was partially closed, not everything was open. The community wasn't gathering really because of, safety, health
Yeah.
safety. So it gave me the opportunity to really just slow down. I was literally at the pool every day, closed my laptop at 4 p.m. Where's the swimsuit? Like, where's the swimsuit? Where's my drink? Where's my book? Like, it was so nice to just be able to slow down
Mhm.
and to just be and do what I wanted to do and not what I had to do.
Yeah, that's perfect actually to do what I wanted to do and not what I had to do
Hmm.
because our lives in the US are so fast paced. Everything is a hustle. Everything is you got
Hmm.
to be productive. Everything is you got to
Hmm.
provide value. What do you mean you taking a nap in the middle of the day? What are you doing?
Exactly.
What are you
Exactly.
doing? So it gave you that opportunity to say, I don't have to do any of that.
Hmm.
I can just relax.
Yes,
And that does
truly.
something different for your nervous system.
I can't even explain it to people.
Mhm.
I wish it for everybody to be able to experience it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I said in the beginning of the episode, Black Mérida was one of the first communities that I
Mhm.
saw online when I was searching. I wasn't searching for years, but I was doing
Mhm. Mhm.
a little bit of research. What
Yeah.
do you think made you start Black Mérida? And I also feel like it had something to do with when you got here being welcomed so warmly by the Black
Mhm.
women.
So, two things. I want to give credit where credit is due on a couple of different things
Mhm.
because um one, Brothers and Sisters of Merida was here first. They were the
Okay.
first community that was built here, and they are the ones that offered me the ability to have that safe landing, right?
Mm.
They were the ones where, when we had visa questions, when we had housing questions, when we wanted to, first we had conversations with people virtually on Zoom, and then when we got here for the visit, people were open to meeting us for dinner, and all of that happened in the Brothers and Sisters of Merida space, right?
Amazing.
And so I want to give credit to that group and that space and those founders for curating a space that allowed me to have a soft landing when I
Mhm.
got here. And I also want to give credit to my co-founders of Black Merida. I was not in the room when Black Merida as an idea was conceived.
Mhm.
I had been doing events, right? Like I had done the Juneteenth event. I had been doing game nights, just because gathering people is one of the ways that I show love, but it's also the way that I meet people,
Mhm.
right? Like I wanted to meet people that were my age. I wanted to see people. It had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, I've had enough isolation now. Now I want to meet my community, right? And to everybody's credit, people were in the chat and brothers and sisters of Merida like, hey, well, if you want to meet people, plan something. And so I was like, I could do that. I
Yes, you
know how to
can.
do that. And so I did. I planned a Juneteenth thing. I planned those game nights and met a lot of lovely people who have been so instrumental to my time here in Merida. But all of that to say, I was brought into this concept and this idea of Black Mérida. And so the first formal meeting that we had, I was there and was there to help sort of ideate what we wanted, what we felt the gap was. And Black Mérida was not created to replace. We didn't necessarily feel like we could do something better than somebody else. We just wanted to fill a hole and a gap that we were seeing. And that was this gathering, right? This ability to be able to gather and this ability to be able to sort of be entrepreneurial while you are here and have that visibility for your business and sustainability in that business while you're here. So those were sort of the two cornerstones that we were really trying to focus on when we were creating and crafting Black Mérida and the community that it was going to be.
Okay. Has it evolved over the 5 years
Oh,
that
for
you've been here?
sure. For sure. Black Mérida, I think in having that space, Black Mérida has actually slowed down in the number of events that we do because other people are thriving and creating their own events. And we didn't want to compete with the community in what they were doing. We wanted to fill a hole. If that
Yeah.
hole is being filled by other people, we don't have any issue with that at all. We were thankful, we were grateful, right?
Yeah.
I think community is about variety. It is about different angles and different things and, events and communities or, you know, not advertising, but catering to a certain side of a community
For
that
sure.
we wouldn't have necessarily thought of, right? So I think that it has evolved to answer the new questions of the community, right? To fill the new holes. And that is why we've transitioned to sort of the bigger celebrations, the Black History Month, the Juneteenth, right? Something that takes bigger capacity to do
Yeah.
than sort of like the everyday meetups or the game nights or the things like that, right? Because we don't ever want to be in competition with the community. We are here to facilitate what the community wants to do to make those dreams successful, and then to fill whatever holes and cracks we see in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you in saying that like being in community is about choice. You get to choose like what are the different spaces that you want to be in, and there is not a shortage of different spaces
Yeah.
in Merida for you to dive into and be in. The last event that I went to from Black Merida was Juneteenth, and I was really impressed with the way that you highlight businesses that are here, and people had the opportunity to share their craft and share like the thing that they feel purposed and will to do that they feel really excited about. We even had a random, I don't want to call him a random man. It was a man.
Surprise.
It was a surprise. A man from Playa del Carmen. And he was like,
Yeah.
I heard about this event and I came down, and he was a one-man band and he was
Okay.
good.
And he
was
was
that your first
singing.
time hearing him?
Yes, and I was nervous
Wow.
because he approached me that night. We didn't know he was
Yeah.
coming. And you never know what you're gonna get, but divine intervention sometimes, because when he hit that first note, I said, oh, oh, okay.
We
I
were
didn't
all like, oh
know.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yo, you're singing.
Yeah, he was really singing.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about you as a founder, as an organizer, to do something that was so on the fly. Like he came up to you, was like, I want to sing. And you were like, you know what? All right.
Yeah.
And we're going to work it out. We just going to work through it.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that is very hard to do as
Yeah.
someone who's organizing something and you don't know this person. You just see their heart.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they want to do something, they want to give back, and you just allow them to do it, and you're just super flexible. And it's important. It is not a trait that a lot of us have.
And honestly, Black Mérida showed me that, because you can plan, everything down to the T, but really when something is based on the community, it's going to flow how it's going to flow.
Mm-hmm.
You can't force it to be something that it's not.
Yeah.
And really, again, being an event planner and a traditional event planning background, that's not how you're taught to do things, right? We've got to run a show, we've got a TikTok, and it's 10:26. Okay, now this person's on the mic, and so you got to be very detailed and very planned. But when you're planning community events, it's very different. And so being in Black Mérida, even just the facilitation of the online community, I've had to learn to go with the flow.
Yeah.
I can ask you a question on Monday to try to get people talking. If nobody wants to answer, well, we're not talking today. Okay.
Yeah.
And not take offense to it, or, just really
Force
try
it.
to, you
You're
can't
not forcing
force
it.
anything to happen. You've got to go with the flow. And really in that moment, what I've learned is like, well, I can always shut something down. I can always say like, okay, well, thank you so much. And the community is so forgiving, right? Like, you've got to learn, but they'll learn. They're willing to give you the grace to learn.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is the perfect time for us to talk about the Kinory experience that you attended. And you said this to me off camera, time is a construct.
It is.
As we talk about just flexibility as an event planner. What was it like for you to experience another event that you didn't have to actually plan, and you had someone holding you rather than you being the one holding everyone else?
Yes, it was a lovely and such a welcome change of pace. It was such a lovely experience. I can't, tell you enough times how good of an experience it was, and how grateful I was for the intentionality and the way that you held us, truly. But it was so lovely to, as somebody that curates experiences, to see the level of detail and intentionality that you took, that went into creating that evening, all of the back preparation and the questions and all of the things, and the curating the space and the table and the people that were at the table, I thought were perfect. It was a perfect table. And so I just really, the word that I can give is just gratitude. I was just so grateful to be in a space and feel so safe, and not have to be on my P's and Q's, not have to be looking at anything, to know that everything was just gonna run smoothly. And I think it's hard to trust a scenario, to trust a space like that, when you're so used to managing the space. But you made it so easy to do that.
I really appreciate you saying that, and also just seeing me and as who I am, seeing my heart, because that space is so important to me. Black women and the safety of Black women is so important to me. Absolutely. That I curate those spaces very, very, very intentionally. And so the people who get to sit at that table, they get to sit at the table because I've talked to them and I understand who they are, what it is that they're looking for, how is it that they might show up at the table. Because you have to be someone who can hold other people, who is empathetic, who is self-aware, who's able to just, exist, but exist in a way that gives other people the permission and room to exist too. And what I have learned after founding Kinory, especially being here and curating that first table, is that I gotta say no. There's some times where I have to say no because the energy just doesn't align with what it is that I'm trying to build. And so I'm so glad that you felt that in the experience, because everyone doesn't get invited to join. You got to be special.
You
got to be real
I
special.
appreciate that. I appreciate that you thought that I was special enough to be in the room. but also appreciating everybody else's uniqueness, right? And everything else that people brought to the table, and everybody else's moments of comic relief, moments of deep sharing, moments of openness, moments of holding other people and validating other people. It was such an even and easy exchange. And so when you say that that's what you look for when you're interviewing people, when you're talking to people, it shows. It
Yeah.
really does show.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You were sitting next to someone, and it's so funny because every time I looked at y'all were like laughing or like in agreement with each other about something. And there were two others that were at the end of the table. And I was like, y'all were perfect to sit next to each other. And while I had an inkling, I didn't really know like what it was going to look like in person, but it just worked out so well.
Yes. And it's a talent. Not everybody, and I'm not even sure that I necessarily have that talent to that extent, right? Like I can tell who I'm vibing with,
Yeah.
but to be able to put together a room that's going to mesh and melt as well as that table did, it is truly a talent and a rare skill.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
It also probably has something to do with working in DEI for 10 years. Yeah.
Yes.
Glad to be out.
Yeah.
I feel like I put my time in.
Yes.
It's like prison.
I did my bid.
Exactly that. Yes. But I've learned so much, like taking so much away from that experience of working in corporate and doing diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging work, all the letters. That I've been able to really consider like what is missing for Black women. Because I know that in organizations we try to build things that work for everyone, but I don't think that we often go far enough to make sure that Black women feel safe in spaces as well. And so I feel like Kinory is answering that call for Black women who need to be able to show up in spaces and not have to perform, not have to explain themselves, not have to shrink.
Yeah.
You just get to show up as you are, and there's nothing else that you need to do.
Yeah. And there's something unique to showing up to a room and feeling like you can bring your whole self, because even in our friendships, in our familiar relationships, sometimes you feel like you've been put in a box, right? Like they know you in a certain way, in a certain light, and you can only show up that way. And so to walk into a safe space and be able to bring all of you to that space is really unique and really special.
Yeah. Let's talk about all you built here. You built so much. And we talked in the beginning about it not feeling permanent. So you've done Black Mérida. You've been here for 5 years. You've built friendships and strong relationships with people that are here. But it's not forever.
It's not forever, and I've always known that. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna mess this up so bad. But there's for all of our Love Island watchers. Because funny enough, after the Kinory dinner, the reason that I didn't go to Freeze thing is I was like, it's Love Island. And I think it was like the second movie night, which again, Love Island obsessed. It's not healthy. But somebody on there mentioned, one of the guys, the contestants on there mentioned sort of this Japanese notion. I think I'm gonna butcher it, but I believe it's called no mono awar. And it's this concept of like the bittersweetness of impermanence, right? Like it's bitter because it's going to come to an end, but it's only bitter because of how sweet it was while it existed, right? And so to me, you have to be where you are. I can't think about when this is going to end, or I can't shelter myself and not build relationships and not build things because I know that this isn't forever. I am here and I want to love on people. I want to be loved. I want to see community together. I want to support people. I want to welcome people, right? I want to show up as my full self and give what I have to this space and to these people while I am here. And so just because it's not forever doesn't mean that I'm going to show up any differently. I am who I am. And that means that I'm going to form relationships, I'm going to host things, and I'm going to shake my booty. I'm going to do all of these things because that's who I am. And it doesn't matter how long I'm here for, I'm still going to show up as my full self in this time period.
Yeah, you said something about what you said about being present, I think is so important because a lot of us are conditioned to be building things over time. Like, I'm building this for 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I'm building this to build legacy. And there's nothing wrong with building legacy.
Absolutely not.
It is amazing. But it's like some of us, we have a hard time breaking away from that because it can be either or, it can be both and. Like, it doesn't have to be this. It doesn't always have to be permanent.
Right.
And being present in the moment is super important and something that we have to master because it's not easy to do.
Yeah. Mérida is a very unique place. I know there's a lot about moving to Mexico in general, right? But Mérida in its city, I'm not sure if it's just the spiritual underpinnings of the city, undercurrents of the city, or what it is, but there's something about Mérida that makes you be here.
Yeah.
You're not anywhere else. You are here. You're not just in Mexico. You are in Mérida specifically, right? And that's even down to the difference between Popote and something else, or the difference between Jaquete and something else, right? Like, everything is so unique to this location and this space, right? And so you have no choice but to be here. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on that you mentioned is like this notion of legacy. Your legacy happens after you leave something, right? That is, so whatever you're building towards for your legacy is also going to be there without you. You don't have to be there for forever in order for you to leave a legacy on something.
So with that being said, there's probably a Black woman who's watching this right now. She feels frozen. She's like, I gotta have all the details. Everything needs to be like tied up neatly in a bow in order for me to make a decision. What would you tell her?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Have a plan, have some semblance of idea, because I also don't encourage people to come here without a financial safety net or sort of understanding what it is that you're going to get into.
Yeah.
But this journey is just that, it's a journey. You're never going to know every stop, every rain shower, every day of sunshine. Like, it is going to come to you as it comes to you. Life is going to happen.
Yeah.
Just because you've planned to the T doesn't mean that life doesn't happen. You can plan all you want to. What is the phrase? You plan and God laughs. You're never going to know every twist and turn. And so if you don't have everything exactly planned out, it's okay. There are people here to help you through. And also, life will help you through. It will be okay. It really will. And as we said, this doesn't have to be your only stop. There's so many people, and I think that's also one of the things we learn in living here, right? The bittersweetness of being an expat. It's very transient. There's so many people that I was really, really close to and really good friends with when I moved here that don't live here anymore.
Yeah.
And so you get to have those relationships while they're here, but people move on. People go to other places. People go to other countries. People move to other cities. And I think that's also part of this unlearning that occurs when you're here. You might have thought like, oh, I'm coming to Merida and this is my final stop. And then you see others moving. You see the transientness of this space and this community and this life in general. And you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't. Yeah, there are options. Maybe I don't have to be here for forever. Maybe there's someplace else that serves this other part of me a little bit more, and I want to nourish that for a time period. It doesn't have to be just here. And I think there's also this notion of, I don't think we talk enough about the people that have gone back to the US and the different reasons and why people move back to the US. But just because you come to Mexico, you come to Merida, and you're here, doesn't mean you can't go back.
Can always go
You
back.
can always go back.
Always go back. If that's what you want to do.
If that's what you want to do, this life is about you and your decisions and your choices and what you want to do. What is serving you? Don't stay anywhere that's not serving you.
Yeah, 100%. And if someone wants to connect with you online or get plugged into Black Mérida, how do they do that?
So you can definitely find us on Facebook, Black Mérida, just Black Mérida. On Instagram, we are black.merida, and we just recently restarted our TikTok. So please find us there as well, black.merida as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sitting with us and for sharing about your story, which is very different than some of the other stories that I've heard from most folks. They're kind of playing it. I feel playing it too. But you know what? Based on this conversation that I had with you and seeing you as an example, maybe not, maybe I might slide in and slide out.
Okay. And a lot of people, they use Merida as their home base, and then they're in Mexico City for 2 months. They're in Guadalajara for 2 months. They're in Colombia for 2 months. I think you should be able to, the world is a big, 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 big place.
Yeah.
And you should be able to experience it, all of it.
Yeah. Go out there and get it. Adventure.
Yes, adventure. Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to tell my story. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for sitting with us. If anything in this episode resonated with you, don't let that pass. Make sure you like and subscribe, because that's the way that these stories get to the Black women who need to see them. Because when Black women belong, everyone benefits. I'm Crystle Johnson, and this is We Ain't Dying for This.